Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to our lesson. We will be learning about the scientists who contributed to the discovery of cells. The 6 main contributors are Robert Hooke, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek, René Dutrochet, Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. In today's lesson, we will begin by looking at 3 of these contributors: Robert Hooke, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek, and René Dutrochet. I am ready to start the lesson if you are. Cells and cell development were discovered and advanced by a group of European biologists in the 17th century. Robert Hooke was an English scientist who was the first person to identify a cell in 1665. Hooke made the microscope that he used to identify the cell. The microscope looked similar to a telescope. It had 2 lenses at the ends of a long tube attached to a stand. When he looked at objects through his microscope, he would stick the object on a pin or mount it in front of the lower lens. At first, he worked using sunlight. He did this because only sunlight was bright enough to show him his object clearly. Later on, he added a lamp and a mirror to the microscope as sources of light. The mirror concentrated the light of the lamp and cast it over the specimen in the microscope. From then on, mirrors have been standard equipment on microscopes. Hooke viewed slices of cork under his microscope and observed pores. They were cells. He said that the pores in the cork looked like small rooms monks lived in. Because of this association, he called the pores cells. In addition to identifying a cell, Robert Hooke wrote a book called Micrographia. He explained everything a microscope could do. Hooke included notes and drawings on all of the experiments he did using the microscope. Students, let us review what we have learned so far. What is Robert Hooke known for? Take a few minutes and write your answer on a piece of notebook paper.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. If you answered that Robert Hooke is known for being the first person to identify a cell, then you are correct. Good job. Let us move on to the next scientist, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek. In 1674, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe and describe living microorganisms from a sample of water. He called the moving things he saw animalcules, which means little animals. The kind of microscope that van Leeuwenhoek used was simple. He actually designed it himself. It had one lens that was placed over a hole on a rectangular-shaped brass plate. It had a tiny clip that was used for holding the specimen in place near the lens. Van Leeuwenhoek was a fabric merchant and actually only an amateur scientist. He designed his microscope so he could see the quality of the fabric he was selling. He soon became curious with what else he could view under his lens. He started taking samples of pond water, animal tissue, and even his own skin to look at. His curiosity not only enabled him to see a living microorganism, but also allowed him to be the first person to observe bacteria, blood cells, and protozoans. Students, let us review what we have just learned. Antoine van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe and describe what kind of cell. What did he call these cells? Please take a moment to write your answer on a piece of notebook paper.
Students, let's get ready. Begin.